Over the course of 2 months, officials say they seized more than 61,000 pounds of cocaine. It's part of an escalating crackdown on the high seas. Today, the Coast Guard offloaded a record-breaking haul with an estimated worth of nearly $500 million.
Yeah, John, more than 76,000 pounds of illegal narcotics, valued, as you said it there, nearly $500 million.
Imagine $470 million in cartel cash wiped out before it ever touched U.S. soil. That's what Operation Pacific Viper achieved, with Coast Guard cutters, Navy warships, and even Dutch partners hunting drug-laden boats across thousands of miles. But how did this coalition pull off 19 interdictions at sea, catching smugglers who use semi-submarines, hidden compartments, and night runs to disappear into the ocean? The tactics, the technology, and the Navy's aggressive role in pushing traffickers off balance, all of it reveals a new blueprint for fighting cartels at sea. Let's explore how. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. A cocaine-filled semi-submersible silently cuts through the swell, painted in dull shades of blue and green, designed to disappear against the ocean surface. To most radars, it barely exists, just a faint echo slipping under the horizon line. The question is simple but urgent. How do you stop it before it reaches land with several tons of drugs? Because once that cargo touches a port, the money is already locked into cartel accounts and the fight is nearly lost.
In the state of Florida, the majority of that was cocaine, but other drugs included marijuana and the building blocks of fentanyl. Pacific and Caribbean Sea, dating back to June, the U.S. Coast Guard says the drugs seized represent 23 million potentially lethal doses, that the crews stopped 11 what's called go-fast vessels, speedboats, and detained 34 suspected drug traffickers.
The ocean gives traffickers a kind of shield. Vast distances and endless hiding places allow them to push new tactics every season. Crews now hire out local fishermen, men who know the coastal routes but are paid only to steer and keep quiet. Hidden compartments are jammed with waterproof bricks of cocaine, stacked under false floors, or crammed into fuel tanks treated with chemicals to muffle the smell. These aren't amateurs. Every vessel is modified with a purpose, whether it's false walls that look solid or engines tuned to outrun a cutter in open water. For years, the U.S. leaned heavily on land-based checks and port inspections, hoping to catch loads as they offloaded. But traffickers adapted. They began moving larger quantities farther at sea, splitting shipments into smaller floating caches or shifting routes to remote coastlines where inspectors couldn't keep up. By the time one stash was grabbed at a port, 2 others had already slipped through. That pattern left law enforcement chasing shadows while cartels continued to rake in profits and strengthen their transport networks. Some of the techniques seem crude, yet they work. Entire layers of wood have been built into hulls as false walls, heavy with carefully hidden cargo.
Container shipping business has allowed narco traffickers to take to the high seas, fueling Europe and other countries' growing appetite for cocaine, force against some Latin American drug cartels. And just last week, we saw the first few signs of that action, the U.S. deploying. The decision to bring not only the Coast Guard, but other branches of the U.S. military into this fight, though, is notable.
Other vessels camouflage their payloads by submerging cocaine directly in the fuel tanks, where scanners often fail to detect the stash and manual checks risk contaminating the supply. Semi-subs built in jungle workshops with fiberglass hulls ride only inches above the surface, carrying thousands of pounds while looking from the air like little more than drifting debris. When a patrol plane spots one, the race is immediate. Fast boats scatter in different directions, each designed to overwhelm the intercept force by sheer numbers.
A record-breaking drug haul.
You gotta see it. Officials say they confiscated 61,000 pounds of cocaine, marijuana yesterday, and that's $473 million worth of drugs.
All from that seems like a small boat for all that. Fatal overdoses to 23 million people, or put another way, the entire population of Florida.
Against this evolving problem, the U.S. response shifted offshore under Operation Pacific Viper. Instead of waiting near ports, Navy and Coast Guard units began patrolling the open ocean where the cartels felt secure. Intercepting vessels mid-crossing cut off the money pipeline before it arrived. Suddenly, the smugglers' advantage in stealth became a liability. Out on the high seas, there is nowhere to hide once a Navy aircraft locks radar onto a suspicious craft, and nowhere to run once a fast cutter closes the range. What makes this strategy work is the unusual combination of forces drawn together. The Coast Guard brings law enforcement authority, able to board and seize under maritime law. The Navy covers the surveillance gap with aircraft, long-range sensors, and surface combatants that can track vessels over entire ocean stretches. Side partners step in too. The Royal Netherlands Navy deployed patrol ships capable of fast interception, adding more reach to the mission.
That's how much cocaine the U.S. Coast Guard seized from smugglers in the eastern Pacific Ocean. That's 18,000-pound load in San Diego yesterday. The Navy and federal agencies and international partners were also involved in the operation. Drugs were confiscated from 7 separate smuggling ships between mid-October and early this month. Members of the Coast Guard showed off.
These aren't separate players, but a stitched-together net stretching across key smuggling routes. One ship became the central figure of this campaign, the USCGC Hamilton. The cutter maintained a relentless chase tempo through the eastern Pacific, running surveillance alongside Navy aircraft and pouncing on contacts at all hours. Over the course of 2 months, the Hamilton alone seized 47,000 pounds of cocaine, a haul worth around $470 million, taken directly from cartel circulation. The significance isn't just the size, but the method. By forcing smugglers to lose entire loads mid-ocean, the operation flipped their profit structure upside down. Instead of struggling at ports, authorities now attack the arteries of cartel logistics, while they're exposed still at sea. The result isn't a single successful mission, but the construction of a new template for maritime security, one built on reach, cooperation, and speed. And while Pacific Viper is only one operation, the strategy it proved may shape how future campaigns are fought on the water. The Navy and Coast Guard showed something cartels didn't expect, that the middle of the ocean is not safe ground. By striking in transit, crews exposed their shipments at the weakest point, far from the corrupt ports and friendly shores they once relied on. Losing $470 million in 2 months isn't just a financial hit, it's a test of endurance. Imagine that kind of pressure applied year after year. Would trafficking routes collapse, or would cartels turn to even riskier methods? Let me know in the comments what you think. Should sea power play a bigger role? Don't forget to subscribe for more strategy breakdowns.